It's 2:47 a.m. Your phone won't stop. Unit B has no hot water. The tenant is awake, she is furious, and she's typing in all caps. You're the owner. You're the name on the mortgage. And at 2:47 in the morning, you're also the plumber. You already know how tonight goes. You, a wrench, a repair video half loaded, praying it's the heating element and not the whole tank. Across the world, another phone lies face down on marble, silent. Its owner had a pipe burst tonight, too, in one of 10,000 units, in one of 9 cities. A unit he has never seen. He won't wake up. He'll never even hear about it. Someone 4 layers below him fixes it before sunrise. Between those 2 men is a climb. 10,000 doors, one at a time. Tonight you start with the first one, and you can barely afford it. Level 1, one property. The place costs $290,000. A plain brick 2-bedroom in a suburb that's up and coming, which is what people say about places that aren't there yet. It's not the dream. The carpet is the color of wheat coffee. The kitchen is from another decade. The water heater in the garage is about to become the most important relationship of your year. You put $58,000 down. That number isn't a number. It's 6 years of your life. The raises you chased, the trips you skipped, the dying car you kept driving past the point of embarrassment. 1,000 small no's that became one enormous yes. You pay. You walk out with 1 key and an empty account. You sit in the driveway of a house that is yours. Something cracks open in your chest. Not quite joy, not quite fear, both at once. Everything you own, balanced on one roof. Then you do the thing that makes it work. You rent it out. A young couple moves in. Rent, $1,900 a month. Your mortgage, tax, and insurance, $1,750. On paper, you make $150. On paper. In June, the dishwasher dies and takes your whole month's profit with it, and you just laugh, because what else can you do? You're a landlord. That's the title. The job is something else. Plumber, roofer, electrician, debt collector, therapist, a 24-hour emergency line, all in a body that still has a full-time job. The toilet floods. You don't call anyone. You watch a man in Ohio fix that exact toilet on your phone. Then you fix it, on your knees, at midnight. And here's the part nobody believes. You feel proud, genuinely proud, because underneath the grind is the trick you signed up for, and it's real. Every month, a stranger's rent pays down your loan. A little more of the house becomes yours. While you sleep, while you work, while you fix their sink. And in the background, the house drifts up in value. It does not care how tired you are. You're building something out of other people's checks and your own stubbornness. And even underwater, even exhausted, your life finally points somewhere. This level is a grind, slow, unglamorous, sometimes humiliating. And for a lot of people, it is secretly the best part of the whole climb. The part where the effort shows, where every dollar has your fingerprints on it. You could stop here. Plenty of people do. A lot of them are happy. You don't stop. Level 2, 10 properties, 6 years pass, and you learn a trick you didn't know existed at 31. That first house has been working the whole time. Rent crept up, the loan shrank, the value climbed to $380,000. The gap between what it's worth and what you owe has a name. Equity. A banker leans across a desk. You can borrow against that gap, he says. Use it to buy the next one. So you do. Then you do it again. A tired duplex on the east side. A 3-bedroom near the hospital. A condo you steal because the seller ran out of time. Each one rents. Each one throws off cash. Each one builds equity. And the equity becomes the down payment on the next. The snowball is rolling now. Downhill. 10 doors. 10 doors is a different animal. The money is real. After every mortgage, every repair, every empty month, you clear about $6,000 a month. Profit. A second income that shows up whether you do or not. For the first time since 31, your grip on every dollar loosens. But 10 tenants is 10 times the chaos. And chaos does not scale politely. One brutal march. 2 units sit empty at once. $3,800 a month, gone, while the mortgages march on. And a third tenant disappears overnight, owing you rent. 3 holes punched in the walls. Something left in the freezer you won't describe. The bill is $11,000. You lose a Saturday scrubbing a stranger's ruin out of a house you own. This time the pride is thin, the exhaustion is thick. You learn a word: concentration. When 3 bad things hit the same month, 10 properties stop feeling like wealth. They feel like 10 mouths, all yours to feed. You built a machine that prints money, and sometimes with no warning, it bites. Level 3, 100 properties. Somewhere back there, you stopped being a man who owns houses. You became a company that does. You don't drive to units. You don't own a wrench. There's a property manager. She has a team. There's an accountant, a lawyer, an LLC, with a name that isn't yours. It all runs on software you check from a laptop with your feet up. 100 doors. About $45,000 a month, landing after everything's paid. More in a month than your father made in his best year alive. And for the first time, you spend some of it on something that isn't another building. You buy the car. Not a sensible car. A brand new McLaren 765 LT. Guards red. $148,000. Paid in full. No financing. It feels illegal after 10 years of counting $50 principal payments. You move the family into a 4-bedroom in the good school district. $890,000. A real kitchen. A garage the McLaren sleeps in. Your kids will never meet the version of you that fixed toilets at midnight. You don't know how you feel about that. But the car and the house aren't the part that undoes you. The part that undoes you is a phone call. You call your parents. You tell them their mortgage is gone. Paid off. The whole thing. 22 years of payments left. Wired away in one afternoon by a bank that didn't blink. Your mother goes silent on the line. Then she makes a sound you've heard exactly once before. At a funeral. Except this time, it runs the other way. It's the first thing you've ever done that you'd do again 1,000 times. Now turn around. Look at the other number. The one that never makes the thumbnail. To own $25 million of property, you owe the banks $18 million. It used to be a number that belonged to other people. Now it's yours. And it does not care how hard you worked. Most of it is calm, fixed, boring, but a slice of it floats, tied to a rate set by people you'll never meet in a marble building in Washington. They lift at one point. $40,000 a year vanishes from your profit, and there's nothing you can do but watch. For the first time, you're exposed to something no wrench can fix, the whole economy, and you are just getting started. Level 4, 1,000 properties. This is the level where you stop risking your own money and start risking everyone else's. You have a title now. Sponsor. You find the deals. A 400-unit complex here. A bundle of rentals there, and other people hand you their millions to buy them, trusting you to turn their money into more. A surgeon, a dentist, a retired couple's entire life savings. Wired on a Tuesday. You take a fee to buy, a fee to run it, a slice of everything it earns. Your name sits on top of the pyramid. Other people's futures hold it up. And the life arrives all at once, exactly as good as you pictured at 31. You charter a 200-foot yacht in the Mediterranean. $250,000 for the week. You put every person you love on it. 3 generations at one long table under the stars. And for once, you don't check your phone. There's a penthouse, 40th floor, Miami, $5.4 million. Floor-to-ceiling glass over Biscayne Bay. The water goes gold every evening, whether you're there to see it or not. Then you go back to the town nobody flies to, the one your first little house still sits in, and you fund it. A new wing on the community college, 50 full scholarships a year, no strings. For kids exactly like the one you were at 17. Sharp, broke, running out of road. Your name goes on none of it. Nothing you've ever bought comes close to how that feels. From the outside, you've won, completely. But here's what the outside can't see. To control $400 million of real estate, you and your investors owe $320 million. But the debt isn't the trap. The timing is. These aren't gentle 30-year handshakes like your first little house. These loans balloon. Every few years, the whole loan comes due at once, and it has to be replaced at whatever rate the world is charging that month. So you are always 3 years from refinancing hundreds of millions of dollars. And if rates are ugly when your turn comes, or the banks got nervous and shut the window, the math that made you rich flips in 1 quarter into the math that ends you. And leverage isn't even the only way it ends. Sometimes it comes with no spreadsheet, no warning at all. A balcony on one of your buildings gives way. A tenant you've never met, a nurse, 34, 2 kids, falls 2 floors and doesn't walk again. Your property manager flagged that railing 18 months ago. It's in an email. An email you never saw. 3 people below you, inside a company you hired specifically so you'd never have to think about railings. Doesn't matter. Your name is on the deed. The suit comes in at $28 million. Insurance covers 8. The other 20 comes out of the deal, and quietly out of the dentist and the retired couple who wired you their savings to buy apartments and are now, without anyone ever explaining it to them, paying for a railing that ended a nurse's career. You settle, you sign, you never meet her. And the phrase passive income never sounds soft again. And it won't just end you, it ends the dentist, it ends the retired couple. You are not the only one on the trapdoor anymore. Level 5, 10,000 properties. You own a town, not a metaphor. A real town's worth of doors. 10,000 of them. 9 cities, tens of thousands of people living behind walls you own and have never once touched. $4 billion of property. Offices. And your offices have offices. There's a jet, a Gulfstream, 40 million. A house on the water you're almost never in. A kind of wealth where money has stopped behaving like money. It's just a number you point in a direction. And moved the right way, it does things one person's money was never meant to do. You seed a foundation with $100 million. It builds real housing. Thousands of units ordinary families can actually afford. In cities that forgot how to make any. You endow a university department in your mother's name. You watch her cut the ribbon. You pay for every kid in your hometown schools to eat breakfast. Personally. Permanently. Through a fund built to outlive you by a century. You've reached the altitude where one decision on an ordinary Tuesday can lift a whole community. And some Tuesdays, quietly it does. The luxury has gone mythical. An $85 million super yacht. 230 feet. A crew of 20. Anchored under a villa you bought on a Greek island because you love the harbor. A room of cars kept at a constant 68 degrees. Paintings, museums, write letters asking to borrow. Your family won't just be comfortable. They'll be a dynasty. Secure 100 years after you're gone. You've built something vast. And a real part of it is genuinely, permanently good. You will never fix a toilet again. You will also never sleep the way you slept at 31. Because strip away the jet and the town and the $4 billion headline. Here's the actual object you own. $3 billion of debt and a full-time white-knuckled bet that you can keep it moving. Every quarter, somewhere in the empire, hundreds of millions in loans come due and have to be rolled forward. You don't watch the news for fun. You watch one man, the chairman of the central bank, like a lit fuse. Because when he speaks, when he nudges rates 1 point to cool an economy you're not even part of, the value of your empire lurches. Hundreds of millions can vanish between a Tuesday and a Thursday, and the loans are stitched together. There's a phrase in the fine print, cross default. It means if one corner of the empire misses one payment, the banks can call all of it. The whole tower, every city, due tomorrow. And once it isn't a spreadsheet at all, it's a headline. A cold snap hits one of your cities. In 200 of your units, the heat dies. Because a maintenance contract got quietly cut to make one quarter look better. A decision made by someone you've never met to please investors you couldn't name. An 81-year-old man dies in one of those units. Then it isn't 200 units. It's a class action. 10,000 tenants. The number the lawyers say out loud is $240 million. Your name is in the first sentence of every article. Not the company's, yours. A senator says it on live television. Strangers who will never meet you decide correctly that they should hate you. And here's the part the headline never mentions. The part that almost ends you. Your lenders read the news too. And the bank holding $340 million of your debt due this spring quietly stops returning your calls. One shaky corner is all it takes. And $600 million across cities that had nothing to do with a cold snap comes due at once. So you sell into the worst market in a decade to raise the cash. A tower you paid $95 million for clears $38 at a distressed auction, and you take it gratefully because the alternative is worse. $1 billion of net worth on a Monday. Personally bankrupt by the end of the quarter. 20,000 tenants handed to a receiver. 200 investors wiped out. 300 people on your payroll, gone in a single email. You survive it. This time. Barely. 11 weeks where you truly don't know if you'll make it. saved only by dumping building after building to a man who knew to the dollar how badly you needed the cash. You keep the tower standing, and you finally understand the thing the view from up here never shows you. At this height, you don't really own the buildings. You're just the name they'll print when they fall. That isn't the nightmare. That's just how it works. And it's true every single night, whether the year turns or not. You spent 30 years believing bigger was safer. It's the reverse. The man with one paid-off house can lose one house. You can lose $4 billion in a season. Take 20,000 tenants and 200 investors down with you. And read your own name in the headlines the whole way down. The taller the tower, the longer the fall. The louder it lands. Men have climbed exactly this high. Worth a fortune on Monday. Worth nothing by Friday. Not because they were stupid. Because the market turned while they were fully stretched. In a tower that tall cannot bend. So come back down. All the way. More doors is more money. That's true. All the way up. But more doors is also more debt. More exposure. More weight on the beams. And a lot further to fall. That's the whole deal. And the climb never tells you how high is too high. You only learn that on the way down. So, how many doors would you climb to?